Part 16. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 154. 4 hours later, the takeaway ordered by Fatty arrived. Because of his injury, Chin-Chi can only drink porridge and has to be fed. After eating more than half of the bowl of porridge, Chin-Chi couldn't eat anymore and fell asleep again in a coma. Someone needs to stay in the hospital to stay with him in bed tonight. The fat man came out to ask for leave from his boss. Tomorrow morning he has to drive his boss for a business trip, but it's still okay to stay with him in bed. Now that nothing happened, Sutingyu was curious and asked, "Fat man, aren't you very rich? Why do you still work as a driver for others? Just renting out part of the property in your name is enough for you to spend several lifetimes." Bar. Hearing this, the honest fat man smiled innocently. "Salary is secondary, I just want to experience life." Sutingyu was speechless. Listen. Do people say it? Others work from 9 to 5 to support their families, but here at Fatty, they are engaged in various industries and professions. They all have money and are free, and want to experience a different life and pursue the meaning of life. Fat man, how many different lives have you experienced in a year? Sutingyu was very curious. It depends on the situation. A job can take as little as 10 days or as long as half a year. The fat man thought for a while and said, "My current job is to be a driver for a young and promising boss. Speaking of which, I can finding this job also had something to do with my appearance. The big boss had a quirk and was extremely misogynistic. I once saw him kick a woman several meters away, and even a more handsome man would be disgusted." His Sutingyu was shocked. Fatty, the big boss, couldn't be a straight man with terminal cancer, right? Isn't it too cruel? Can fat people bear it? Seeing that Sutingyu's expression was wrong, the fat man said quickly, "My boss is the new leader of the Gu family in Kyoto. He is a rich man. Working under him, even ordinary drivers are paid generously and their wages are never in arrears. Other than that quirk, under normal circumstances, as long as you don't get within 1 meter of him, he is a nice person and usually doesn't lose his temper." Sutingyu raised her eyebrows slightly, but she didn't expect that the fat man was quite protective of his boss. At this time, Fatty's cell phone rang. "Hello, Assistant Chi-Te?" "Hello, what's the matter with?" Go now. The other drivers suddenly resigned? Is it just me? Okay, right away." The call came in less than a minute. After the call was hung up, the fat man turned his head with a depressed look. "Boss, I was informed that I have to pick up my boss. It's strange, the boss usually has at least 3 to 5 drivers around him. I'm fine without one. I don't know what happened today. One driver had a car accident, one was too far away from his hometown and couldn't make it back, and the other 2 all resigned." Sutingyu waved her little hand. "Since you have something to do, go ahead and get busy. I'm free recently and can stay with Chin-Chi in the hospital." "Okay, come back when I'm done," the fat man said as he took out Chin-Chi's box and handed it to Sutingyu. If a fat man has to go out to work, it is not easy to hold a box all the time. Secondly, it is inconvenient and he is afraid of losing or breaking it. The fat man left. Sutingyu didn't pay much attention. Anyway, she thinks, it's just a bedside job, it's just taking care of a patient, it's simple. Look at her, she took care of herself until she was 20 years old, her legs and hands were not broken, she was still alive and kicking, positive, kind and lovely. This is an ironclad proof of her good deeds. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 155. At around 8 o'clock in the evening, a nurse checked Chin-Chi's physical condition. Seeing that Chin-Chi's legs were disabled and needed to be bedridden for a long time, he suggested, "Hello, the patient's family. With the patient's current condition, he may not be able to go to the toilet normally. Should he consider placing an indwelling catheter? Catheter, catheter, Sotinyu was stunned. What is this? Fatty, come back here. The nurse paused. If the patient doesn't want to use a catheter, it is recommended to use diapers. Within the next 20 minutes, the nurse caught Sotinyu and explained in detail the use of the catheter and diapers as well as some precautions. Finally, the nurse gave another suggestion. After the patient is discharged from the hospital, if family conditions permit, he or she can hire a caregiver to take care of the patient's daily life at any time. Okay nurse, goodbye nurse. Sotinyu sent the nurse away with a confused look on her face. Sotinyu felt a headache when she thought of the two things the nurse explained. Then, I immediately went online and placed an order for several sets of diapers. After finishing it, Sotinyu felt a little tired. Thinking that Qin-Chi had difficulty moving her hands and feet when she wanted to go to the toilet, and that she, a patient's family member, needed to change her diaper, made her even more tired. Sotinyu turned her head and glanced at Qin-Chi, who was sleeping soundly, with a complicated look in her eyes. How did Qin-Chi's leg get injured? And with both legs disabled, how did Qin-Chi survive this period of time? Maybe it will all be clear when the investigation results come out. A night of silence. The next morning, Qin-Chi's electronic version of the investigation results was sent to Sotinyu's mobile phone. Auntie, remember to destroy it after reading it. New. Sotinyu replied to a WeChat message and clicked on the file. Qin Lin's personal profile. Name, Qin Lin, former name, Qin-Chi. Sex, male. Age, 22 years old. Identity, the current head of the Qin family in Kyoto, Qin Tianlang, the legitimate son of his first wife, and the seventh son of the Qin family. Family relations. Father Qin Tianlang, remarried. Mother Du Chuanfang, divorced. Brother, Qin Ding, half-mother. Younger brother, Qin Shen, half-mother. In 2014, at the age of 15, he enrolled in the National Defense University's Special Warfare Department as a freshman. In 2015, at the age of 16, he completed self-study college courses in just 1 year and received a bachelor's degree from the National Defense University in the same year. In 2016, at the age of 17, due to his outstanding performance and outstanding achievements, he was specially recruited into the reserve force of the CH-10019 Special Operations Group for systematic study. In 2017, at the age of 18, he successfully completed the assessment of all subjects of the Special Operations Group Reserve in a record-breaking manner. In the same year, he officially entered service. In 2018, at the age of 19, he participated in multiple operations to arrest border smugglers, border poachers, and international criminals who smuggled themselves into the country. In 2019, at the age of 20, during a secret special operation, after losing contact and assistance with the command for 5 months, he obtained key intelligence and progress and destroyed the target's plan. After the war, his military rank was promoted. At least the school. In 2020, at the age of 21, I was diagnosed with post-war psychological syndrome at the beginning of the year. After multiple examinations, I was unable to touch guns and other military weapons, and even developed resistance and fear. I suffered from headaches, vomiting, nightmares, auditory hallucinations, and hallucinations. After confirmation, etc., I no longer meet the requirements for active duty, and I voluntarily choose to officially retire. After Sotinyu read Qin-Chi's entire file, he silently destroyed the information. The final diagnosis result in the file did not diagnose Qin-Chi's brain or leg nerve damage, only a post-war psychological syndrome. According to the data, it was Qin-Chi who took advantage of the situation to handle retirement. Did Qin-Chi hide his injury? Or did any major changes occur after retirement? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 156. Of the two survey results sent, the other one was from Master Shen. Sutingyu clicked in to check. Name, Qin Shen, former name, He Shen. Sex, male. Age, 19 years old. Identity, the illegitimate son of Qin Tianlang, the current head of the Qin family in Kyoto, and the eighth young master of the Qin family. He was brought back to the Qin family when he was 14 years old, changed his surname, and entered the family tree. Family relations. Father Qin Tianlang, remarried. Mother, He Ziujian, married. Elder brother, Qin Ding, same father and mother, Qin Lin, same father and mother. It also specifically investigated some situations of the Qin family in recent years. The Qin family is a business family with a large and bloated family. The new leader, Mr. Qin, left Hexi 5 years ago. Now in power is the Qin family headed by Qin Tianlang. There are also second, third, fourth, fifth, and 2 married women. There are endless intrigues within the big family. Qin Tianlang's first wife, Du Chuanfang, was Qin Chi's biological mother. She was a daughter of a wealthy family. At that time, it was a marriage designated by the deceased old man. Unexpectedly, Qin Tianlang already had a pretty girl at that time, a poor college student, He Ziujian. The two were young and frivolous, and they had a passionate relationship, and they had developed a relationship that trusted their bodies and minds. After learning about the marriage, Qin Tianlang tried his best to resist at first, but Mr. Qin threatened him as the heir. In the end, Qin Tianlang reluctantly married Du Chuanfang, but secretly he did not break up with He Ziujian. Even in the same year that the two got married, He Ziujian was diagnosed to be pregnant. After giving birth secretly, she was named He Ding by Qin Tianlang, which is now Qin Ding, the fourth young master of the Qin family who is known as the successor of the Qin family. 3 years later, Du Chuanfang became pregnant and gave birth to Qin Chi. But at that time, Qin Tianlang spent all day wandering around flowers. Du Chuanfang gave up hope and simply went abroad to raise a foreign pretty boy. This reversal confused the people who had been paying attention to the development of the Qin family. On the side of the Qin family, Qin Tianlang simply brought He Ziujian into the light, but because it was his family who settled the mistake first, Mr. Qin could only turn a blind eye and treat Qin, who was not loved by his father and not loved by his mother, at that time. Qi brought Qi by his side, personally educating and training him. Even Qin Chi's current name was given by the old man. After Sutingyu watched this bloody drama with thunder and lightning, he felt a little more pitiful for Qin Chi. In the game copy, Qin Chi, who has sound legs and is conscious, has a calm and steady personality, without any extreme or morbid emotions. Obviously, he has not grown crooked due to his childhood experience, and even went to serve in the army later and became a soldier. Nowadays, the upper-class business circles in Beijing have probably forgotten that the Qin family still has a seventh son, who is the orthodox heir to the Qin family. However, Qin Chi chose the Special Warfare Department in college, chose to serve in the army, and served the country. After all, he had nothing to miss about the Qin family, let alone compete for the position of the Qin family's heir. What are you looking at? Suddenly, a voice came from the direction of the hospital bed. Sutingyu looked up, and for a moment, he looked at Qin Chi, who had just woken up. The latter's eyes were a little watery, as if he hadn't slept enough, and he was a little silly and confused. Sutingyu smiled slightly at the person. I didn't see anything. Qin Chi actually spoke to her. After realizing it, Sotingyu felt a little surprised. At this time, Sotingyu saw a trace of awkwardness and confusion on Qin Chi's face. I want to go to the toilet. The air suddenly became quiet. 1 second. 2 seconds. Sotingyu roared in his heart, "Fatty, come back quickly." Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 157. Half an hour later. After throwing away the trash, Sotingyu went downstairs to pick up 2 takeaway breakfasts. After returning to the ward, Sotingyu fed Qin Chi and finished the porridge before finishing his own breakfast. Qin Chi's mental state was much better today. After breakfast, he did not go back to sleep. Instead, he kept looking at Sotingyu with a curious and timid expression, not knowing what was going on in his mind. After Sotingyu finished her breakfast, she saw that Qin Chi was still observing her, so she couldn't help but move over with a chair and showed a malicious smile. "Why are you looking at me all the time?" Qin Kicking blinked, and his face was tangled for 2 seconds before he said, "You." As soon as he said a word, he got stuck because he didn't know the name of the person in front of him. "My name is Sotingyu." Sotingyu introduced herself. "Su, listen, fish." Qin Chi chewed each word and read each word. Suddenly, he raised his eyes, with a glimmer of light in his eyes. "Big fish." When Sotingyu heard this, he was instantly petrified. What the hell is a big fish? So earthy. It doesn't fit her image of a fairy-like little fairy at all. "It's Sotingyu, not a big fish." Sotingyu corrected himself with a serious face. "Big fish," Qin Chi insisted. Sotingyu stood up suddenly, bent down, stretched out his hands, pinched both sides of Qin Chi's face, and said fiercely, "No, change it. Build, spread medicine." Qin Chi showed no sign of weakness. He seemed to feel that Sotingyu would not hurt him, and he gradually became more courageous. Sotingyu thoughtfully gave other options. "Susu, listen, you can choose anyone. You can't use big fish anyway." After hearing this, Qin Chi shook his head and refused without thinking. "I don't want Susu, listen, I want a big fish." Sotingyu narrowed his eyes slightly, with danger in his eyes. "Are you sure?" "Sure." 1 second. 2 seconds. Sotingyu was helpless and furious. "Wahaha. No. We can't just let Qin Chi take advantage of her." Sotingyu's brain changed, he let go of his hands, and a smile appeared on his face again. "I can't just let you call me big fish, I also want to choose one. Let's call you Kikai, how about it?" Hearing the word Kikai, Qin Chi frowned subconsciously, feeling a little awkward. "No, don't." "Why not?" "Kikai sounds so nice and cute, isn't it?" "Just, don't want to be cute." Qin Chi bit her lower lip and said hesitantly. Sotingyu laughed twice. "I don't want it either, so I'll call you Kikai, 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 Kikai." Visible to the naked eye, Qin Chi's face became even more depressed. Seeing that it was almost done, Sotingyu tried again and asked, "How about you don't call me big fish, then I won't call you Kikai, is that okay? Is it fair?" Qin Chi thought distressedly for a while, and finally said gloomily, "No, your name is Chi Chi." "Sotingyu, can't you fool me? Who dares to say that Qin Chi is mentally ill?" She was in a hurry with that person. Until the evening, when Fatty rushed back to the hospital, before he had time to say hello, he faintly noticed that there was an inexplicable and strange atmosphere between the two people in the ward. "Boss, what's wrong?" the fat man asked. Sotingyu waved his hands feebly. "Nothing, nothing." He. "Why hasn't the copy started yet?" She was waiting to see what Qin Chi's reaction would be when he thought about this after entering the dungeon. "By the way, boss, the hospital is overcrowded and we have to enter the dungeon. Brother Qin needs to be discharged before entering the dungeon." The fat man asked a detailed question. Tip for extra updates, Okay. It's really gone today. I'll enter the dungeon soon. I'm not looking forward to Kikai Society's death at all. How about you? Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 158. There is a time difference between reality and copy. If you suddenly enter the dungeon in the hospital, where people are coming and going, even if a nurse comes in to check the ward, you will find that the three of them have disappeared inexplicably. Sutingu estimated the time and said, to be on the safe side, let's arrange the discharge time in 4 days, and enter the dungeon on the 5th day. Okay, boss, the fat man agreed, and then went to find someone to tell him about being discharged from the hospital. That evening, Chin Chi's attending doctor came to check on Chin Chi's recovery. If you want to go home from the hospital, be careful not to move around, and remember to take medicine on time every day. The attending doctor explained the detailed precautions, and Sutingu and Fatty took note of them carefully, and asked several times about points that were not very clear. The attending doctors patiently answered every question one by one. Thank you, Dr. Su. The attending doctor's surname is Su. He is male. He wears a pair of glasses and is probably in his 30s. He looks strong, which is different from ordinary frail doctors. You're welcome, I'm leaving first. Dr. Su, walk slowly. Dr. Su returned to his office. The computer was still on, and there was an inconspicuous file at the bottom of the interface. His fingers moved slightly and he clicked the mouse. 10 minutes later. After reading the document, Dr. Su breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out the bullet mark is. That's okay. Dr. Su opened a drawer next to him. There were several books inside and a red book. He glanced at it for a few times and then pushed it back. Dr. Su is a retired military doctor and is familiar with the traces of wounds, especially those caused by bullets and bombs. A few years ago, when he was first serving in the army, he was deceived by a gangster with bullet wounds on his body pretending to be a soldier, at the cost of several children sleeping forever. During the treatment yesterday, I saw some bullet marks on Chin Chi's body. I went to check the records. I didn't see any proof of military service or having served in the hospital when I was admitted. I felt a little worried and asked someone to check. Fortunately, the result is good. Dr. Su can relax now. He looked at the file again and deleted it without leaving any trace. In the next 3 days, Sutingu felt that Dr. Su came to the ward a little too frequently. Sometimes he had to close the panel while browsing the forum. Dr. Su carefully checked Chin Chi's recovery every time, talked about the current results, and then left. On the day of discharge, Dr. Su actually came to see her off. There is an elevator in the hospital, and Chin Chi can go downstairs and out of the hospital entrance while sitting in a wheelchair. The fat man opened the car door, and Sutingu placed Chin Chi in the car, folding the wheelchair and putting it behind him. The fat man had an 8-story apartment nearby that had not yet been rented out. After leaving the hospital, his destination was there. When they arrived at the place, Sutingu realized that the fat man was being humble. Not only does this apartment belong to him, but the community where the apartment is located is also a property in his name. Chin Chi's condition is that it is not advisable to move too far. This is the right place for Chin Chi to stay and recuperate. There is also an elevator in the apartment. The first floor is a storage room and there is no room for people to live in. The two placed Chin Chi on the second floor. The fat man had hired a housekeeper to clean the house beforehand, so he could just move in now. The next day. Not long after the three of them finished breakfast, their respective panels popped up. Hello player number 444,444, the 7-day rest period has passed, and the Happy Children's Day surprise event copy is coming. Will you participate in this event copy? Sutingu clicked on the following option: yes. Fatty also clicked, and when the panel automatically appeared, Chin Chi's brain gradually came to his senses, and he also chose yes. Player number 444,444 has confirmed to participate in the Happy Children's Day event copy and is being matched. The matching is completed and the countdown to enter the copy begins. 3, 2, 1. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 159. Copy, Happy Children's Day. Background, this is the childlike amusement city, a wonderful paradise for children to play happily. There is no shackles from adults. Children are the biggest masters. God, I hope there will be no war, no fighting, no noise, only laughter, and only innocence, only simplicity. Number of players, 18,000. Mainline rules. 1. All players will have a doll body. Within a certain period of time, players in every 100 intervals will take turns becoming hunters, and the remaining players will be prey. 2. The hunter player's body and the doll body are separated, the body is conscious, and the doll body is unconscious. The prey player's body and the doll body merge, exist in the form of the doll body, and merge and appear at the location of the doll body. 3. The hunter player can actively destroy the doll bodies of all players and eliminate them. The prey player cannot directly attack the hunter player body. 4. When the degree of damage to the doll body is higher than 85%, the player's doll body is completely damaged and cannot be used. 5. Each time a player successfully destroys another player's doll body, he or she will receive a certain amount of points and inherit all the points of the player who destroyed the doll body. After the instance ends, players with points can exchange them for prizes. 6. For more hidden rules of the game, players are welcome to dig out by themselves. Main mission, hunt players and protect yourself. Protect the doll body. The damage will be less than 85% at the end of the instance, and the main body will survive until the end of the instance. Difficulty, 6 stars. Duration, 10 days. Pass-through rewards, after clearing the level, you can get a certain amount of game currency, a probability of getting game props and lottery opportunities, and a probability of getting free attribute points. Death penalty, 2 to 5 non-binding game items are randomly dropped at the point of death, and some game coins and experience points are lost. Penalty for failure, 2,000 game coins deducted. Continue hid in a closet full of children's clothes and read the panel information of this round of dungeons. The event copy is open, and all players can voluntarily participate. However, out of the approximately 200,000 closed beta players, only 18,000 players participated in the end. The biggest reason is that the event dungeon not only adds a death penalty, which makes players want to quit, but the 2,000 game currency included in the failure penalty is an amount of game currency that most ordinary players cannot have so far. In this round of event dungeons, the deformation attribute among the new dungeon attributes has indeed appeared. In addition, there is also the hunting attribute. There is an extra brooch on Sutingyu's right hand. On the front is a cartoon girl's head, and on the back there is a series of numbers, 4,444. Props, doll brooch. Grade, diamond. Function, the exclusive game props of the Happy Children's Day copy can be worn on any doll to obtain the right to use the doll body in this round of copies. Whether the copy can be taken out, no. Usage, disposable. Note, do not try to wear it on cats and dogs, thank you. After reading the message, Sutingyu had just put the doll brooch into her inventory when a dungeon notification was refreshed on the panel. Happy Children's Day players, please note that within 10 minutes of preparation time, please wear the doll brooch on any doll. Players who complete or fail to complete within the time limit will be eliminated on the spot. There was a countdown below. Seeing this, Sutingyu didn't waste any more time, reached out and pushed open the closet door and went out. After taking stock of the surrounding environment, Sotingyu found that she was now on the second floor of a children's clothing store. Going down the stairs, she didn't meet a single living person in the store. But the store door is wide open, and the layout of the store is orderly. There is not a trace of dust or garbage left, and it doesn't look like a place where no one is around. Sotingyu walked out of the store and saw the situation outside, with a flash of surprise in his eyes. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 160. On both sides of the wide and flat cement road, there are shops of various sizes, including toy stores, doll shops, children's bookstores, children's clothing stores, candy shops, burger shops, etc., all of which are related to children. But at this time, these shops were empty. Looking further afield, you can see the roller coaster that winds between the mountains, the Ferris wheel that plunges into the clouds, like a giant stranded pirate ship. These are common facilities in real amusement parks. In this copy, just in terms of scale and area, actually expanded several times. Sotingyu glanced at the countdown. There were still 9 minutes left, so he stopped worrying about whether there was anyone and started looking for a suitable doll to use as his doll body. There are many doll shops on both sides of the road. Regarding the criteria for finding a doll body, Sotingyu analyzed and summarized several points in just a few minutes through the information provided on the panel. 1. The doll should not be too big or too conspicuous, otherwise it will be difficult to hide, and it should not be too small, otherwise it will not be able to run fast with its short legs when discovered by a hunter. 2. Choosing a doll with a human body shape can reduce the time to adapt to the doll body. 3. The color of the doll should not be too bright. 4. Dolls are basically made of cloth and cotton. The materials should be carefully selected to reduce the vulnerability of the dolls in the face of various emergencies. When Sotingyu entered a doll store, she spotted a suitable doll at a glance, a gray-white cat doll with upright legs. The cat doll stands upright, almost as tall as a Sotingyu foot, neither too big nor too small. The material is very good, and the stuffing inside leaves almost no gaps. The legs are stuffed very firmly, and the layer of fur on the surface can provide some protection. Water. After confirming the doll body, Sotingyu glanced at the countdown. There were still about 5 minutes left. I didn't rush to put the brooch on immediately, but picked up a few more dolls. The cat doll was placed inside, covered. Then Sotingyu was going to find a hidden place where the doll could be hidden. But this time out, Sotingyu unexpectedly met the first living person. It was a boy with glasses, and he seemed to be holding a stuffed doll in his hand. When he noticed someone, he immediately put his hands behind his back. The two looked at each other, mentally confirming that the other was a player, and then silently left in the opposite direction. During this period, the male player also secretly looked at the doll in Sotingyu's arms. Unfortunately, he couldn't see the cat doll inside. After such a small twists and turns, Sotingyu found a suitable hiding spot, a children's ranch. As soon as he entered, Sotingyu smelled various feces smells that made his nose sour, but again, there was no trace of any animals inside, but there were relatively clear footprints of various animals on the mud. Sotingyu found a pig shed, piled a pile of hay in the corner to hide the dolls, dug an outward hole under the wooden fence next to it, and then slightly broke off a section of the wooden fence to create a simple and inconvenient the escape route that easily attracts attention is completed. The cat doll was also wearing a gray vest, and Sotingyu wore the brooch under the vest. The moment it was put on, the brooch emitted colorful light and gradually turned into a pattern of the same size, which was printed on the doll. Sotingyu was slightly startled. The brooch changes into a pattern. If the player accidentally wears it in a conspicuous position, he will be deceived. Fortunately, she was careful. Even if it turned into a pattern, fastening the buckle of the vest would block the pattern inside. She is really an ordinary little genius. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 161. With dozens of seconds left, Sutinyu threw the remaining 4 or 5 dolls out of the ranch. When I ran back to the gate of the ranch, the countdown just hit 0. Happy Children's Day players, please note that the preparation time has ended and this round of dungeons has officially begun. First round of hunting time, 8 o'clock minus 8:20. Hunter players in the first round, 1 to 100 doll brooch numbers. The hunting score list is opened, and the top 100 players with points are displayed in real time after the instance ends. Players on the list can receive additional rewards. The higher the ranking, the richer the reward. Points system for hunting in the first round, 1 doll body, 10 points. When the panel announcement appeared, Sutinyu glowed. That's right, the whole body glows, and then slowly starts to become transparent. At this time, the originally silent pasture suddenly sounded the crowing of roosters and the bleating of sheep, and in the kennel next to the entrance of the pasture, several large black dogs on dog leashes appeared, barking. Call. In the pasture, there was also a string of clear and cheerful children's voices. Not only the pastures, streets, shops, the entire childlike amusement city was filled with lively crowds of people and endless laughter without even realizing it. Sutinyu watched as his body became more and more transparent, and finally turned into nothingness. The next second, the world was spinning, and Sutinyu's consciousness drifted into his doll body. Sutinyu tried to move the doll's arm. Under the control of his consciousness, the originally dead doll raised one hand little by little. Sutinyu was extremely surprised. He kicked his feet and twisted his body, slowly becoming familiar with the doll body. After becoming familiar with it, Sutinyu stopped. In the smelly pigsty, she could still hear the grunting of the fat, white pigs from time to time. At this time, the benefits of becoming a doll became apparent. Without the sense of smell, there is no smell. Sutinyu opened the panel. At the top was a countdown to the first round of hunting time. Less than 3 minutes had passed. At the bottom was an empty hunting list with no players on it. Ding! The kill list has been updated. First place, Invincible and Too Lonely, 30 points. Second place, Demon Hunter, 20 points. Third place. Hiss. Sutinyu was stunned. How did these two players do it? Only 3 minutes into the game, one had 3 kills and the other had 2. These two game nicknames seem to have been seen in the top 10 of the level list. Now they can be in the top 10 of the level list, either LV5 or LV6. Unconsciously, the third month of the game's internal beta has passed, and the levels of the top players have also improved. Now LV6 is the highest level on the level list. Time passed bit by bit, and many new players were added to the hunting list. The first place was still the Invincible and Lonely player with 270 points, followed closely by the Demon Hunter in second place. Player, 230 points. These two players really got their game nicknames right. As for the players below, they only have a few dozen points, and few have more than 100 points. It's only the first round now, and many capable high-level players can only hide in their dolls in frustration, jealously hunting down players with points on the leaderboard. Sutinyu thought of his auspicious number -4444. If there are only 100 players who are hunters in each round, then it will be her turn to be a hunter until the 45th round. Until then, let's just keep quiet. As for the first round mentioned on the panel, if I understand correctly, 18,000 players take turns being hunters in 10 days, and can complete 4 rounds. Now is the first round. The hunt has just begun. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Being a Bug in a Survival Game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 162. In a kindergarten locker room, A male player forced two moving and running dinosaur dolls into a corner. Among them, the green dinosaur doll made a pleading male voice, "Brother Lee, please let us go. I am LV4 player. In reality, my father is an official. I can join the hunting. We are our own people." Oh. The second generation official, the male player glanced at the pink dinosaur protecting the green dinosaur and smiled playfully. "What? A young couple entering the dungeon together?" Yes, Mr. Lee, my girlfriend is the third batch of players. She doesn't have many game coins. She can't fail this round of copies." The green dinosaur seemed to have changed his attitude when he saw the male player, and he spoke quickly. "Explain." "The feelings are commendable." The male player sighed. Suddenly, a plastic toy gun appeared in his hand. After pulling the trigger, the muzzle of the gun spit out scorching flames at the two dinosaur dolls. "AHH." The pink dinosaur screamed in horror when he saw that he was burned. "Zixi." Listening to the beautiful sound of panic in his ears, the male player's mouth curled up with a sinister curve. "Lee Ge. Wait for me. In reality, I won't let you go." Lee Ge admired the green dinosaur's angry threats and curses, and the expression on his face became a little more happy. Player Demon Hunter destroys two doll bodies, points add 20. The degree of damage to the player's Scholar Sleeping Fox Demon doll body is higher than 85%, and it will be restored after 5 seconds. This round of dungeon failed to clear the level. The degree of damage to the player's Fox Demon Meng Meng doll body is higher than 85%, and it will be restored after 5 seconds. This round of dungeon failed to clear the level. After the three people's panels popped up, Lee Ge had two thin blades on his fingertips. He waited for 5 seconds, waiting for the couple players' bodies to appear. The blades suddenly flew out and pierced the two players instantly. Of the cervical arteries. After the blood flow stopped, the two players' bodies twitched for a while, and finally they lost their breath. Madness. Lee Ge smiled contemptuously at the two corpses. A total of 5 game items fell on the ground next to the corpse. Lee Ge bent down to pick them up and put them into the inventory. He glanced at the countdown on the panel. There were still 2 minutes left, and then he tried his luck to see if he could find one more prey. After Lee Ge left, the lights in the dressing room flickered a few times, flickering on and off, and the two bloody bodies disappeared without a trace. Even the blood stains on the ground seemed to have been wiped away with a rag. After the lights were restored, the locker room was as clean and spotless as ever. Copy time, 22:35. Sutingyu turned over and was shocked when he saw that the dungeon time on the panel was approaching 40 minutes. It is now the 44th round, and in 5 minutes, it will be her hunting time. In the past 14 hours, hunter players came to the ranch several times to search, but the pig shed was so smelly that many hunter players either took a quick glance and left, or took a detour away from the pig shed. Sutingyu stayed silently in the pig shed while always paying attention to the situation on the kill list. Hunting list. First place, Kuashi Wushuan, 320 points. Second place, Invincible is Too Lonely, 310 points. Third place, 10,000 per day today, 270 points. Fourth place, No Update Tomorrow, 270 points. Fifth place, Demon Hunter, 260. 100th place, Just Bubbling, 40 points. Sutingyu looked at the hunting list for several times, but didn't see Chin Chi or Fatty on the list. Maybe it was because the numbers were low and it was not their turn to become a hunter yet, or maybe the number of destroyed doll bodies was too small to make it on the list. 5 minutes later. The 44th round of hunting ends and the 45th round of hunting begins. The 45th round of hunting time, 2240-2300 hours. 45th round hunter players, 4401-4500 doll brooch numbers. Tip for extra updates, OK. Being a bug in a survival game. Author, Kuanke. Chapter 163. Children's Ranch Entrance. Sutingyu's body reappeared at the place where the original fusion disappeared. At this time, there were many children running in and out of the door happily. And these child NPCs seemed completely invisible to Sutingyu's sudden appearance. At this time, a child bumped into Sutingyu, who dodged in time. The child fell to the ground, then stood up with a smile on his face and continued to chase and play with his friends. Sutingyu glanced at the child running further and further strangely, then turned around and left the place. Sutingyu walked on the street and experienced what it means to stand out from the crowd because the people coming and going were short children with innocent and beautiful smiles on their faces. The strange thing is that there is no adult NPC seen on the street. There are adult NPCs only in various shops. They act as staff inside, always maintaining a formulaic smile and providing various services to children. Satisfy all kinds of reasonable or unreasonable requests of children. This is truly a paradise for children. Sutingyu went from store to store, looking for doll bodies with brooch patterns on them. The current dungeon time shows that it is past 2200 hours in the evening, but the entire Tongzhen amusement city is like a tireless paradise where the sun never sets. The sun is high, the breeze is blowing, and there is no sign of darkness. However, this is also beneficial to Sutingyu's search. Sutingyu found some doll bodies one after another in several deserted corners. When we first encountered them, the doll bodies wanted to escape, and some even used weird props. But when they couldn't escape, they began to beg for mercy. "Miss, please let me go. I have no game coins. If I fail to clear this round of dungeons, I will be punished by the dungeon's woo-woo. Let me go, and I will give you money in reality, no matter how much you want. I really have no game currency, and I have also used the resurrection armor of the punishment copy. This is my last chance. I have an 80-year-old mother above me who is taking care of herself for the rest of her life, and below me there are 4 newborn kittens waiting to be fed. Please let me go. Hey, we are both girls, can you let me live a life?" Each of these reasons for begging for mercy is more exaggerated and outrageous than the last, and each one is more tear-jerking than the last. Sutingyu expressed sympathy for this, and then tore the doll into pieces without mercy. How many of the players who can come to participate in the event dungeon don't have game currency and have a gambler's mentality to gamble and become rich instantly? I'm afraid not many are fools. Anyone who believes these words of begging for mercy is a fool. Looking at the prompt information on the panel, Sutingyu squatted down another wave of corpses. After the player's body comes out, suppress it a second time. Get rid of it. Sutingyu quickly put the game items that exploded into his inventory and went to look for his next prey. Copy time, 22:50. With 10 minutes left, Sutingyu looked at his current points. He had climbed up to the 65th place on the hunting list, with 140 points. In fact, she only destroyed 10 doll bodies, and the other 40 points are the points of the players who continued to destroy the doll bodies by her. It was also because of this that Sutingyu took the rule of inheriting players' points seriously, and was secretly wary of the 2 high-level players who emerged in the first round. After all, the high score record of the following players may be partly due to the inheritance of other players' points, and those 2 players both have real head count records. However, the first round of hunting has not yet ended, and most players have no points. This method of quickly gaining big points can only depend on luck. In addition, players who can get points in the first few dozen rounds will be more difficult to catch than ordinary players.